And now, a leap into the unknown.
It's been a little while since a movie sequel impressed me this much. Wow, let's talk a little bit about it. Hey everybody, I'm Killjoy Jake, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. If you're excited to see 28 Years Later The Bone Temple this weekend, then make sure to like this video and subscribe for more early reviews on horror movies just like this one. Also, the best way to support the page is by becoming a channel member or Patreon supporter, where you'll get bonus review videos and also trailer reactions. Thank you all so much for keeping me in business. Now let's get into the review. 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple picks up with Dr. Kelson, who finds himself in a shocking new relationship with consequences that could change the world as he knows it, while Spike's encounter with Jimmy Crystal becomes a nightmare he can't escape. I said it last night in my initial reaction video that I posted, but I'll say it again here. I loved 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, maybe even more so than 28 Years Later, but I just know that the people who love 28 Days and didn't really care for 28 Years are probably going to hate this one a lot more. Bone Temple cranks up the bizarro to 11 as this sequel gets trippier, more commentary heavy without feeling preachy, and still bloody as all hell. I'm not even remotely kidding when I say one of the coolest, most memorable shots in a horror movie ever is found in this film, with a character drenched in blood from head to toe in the moonlight. Not only is this my favorite of the Years trilogy so far, but man, it might be the best horror film of 2026. I don't know what else is gonna give this competition. This is a contest that may be over as soon as it begun already for me. Diving deeper into the Bone Temple without giving away too much, the first act mostly focuses on Dr. Kelson and Samson again. A litmus test for if you're actually going to vibe with this film or not. If you can't get into these very weird scenes, you're probably not gonna like where it goes next. I feel like Samson, or the Alphas in general, have been kind of this like scary figure in this franchise so far, but here in this film, it's more so about this like unique relationship that Samson and Dr. Kelson have kind of built up over time. Bone Temple has its scary jump out moments with the infected, sure, but the most effective feeling here is its meditation on loneliness and what that can do to the human mind. Kelson especially is just as curious as he is sympathetic. The Jimmies indoctrinate Spike into their messed up little cult, and as we've seen in the trailers, they continue their reign of terror on other survivors. There's a very thought-provoking religious theme going on throughout this film, where you have Jimmy Crystal, who believes he's like the prodigal son of Old Nick, or Satan, essentially. There is some chilling characterization here from Jack O'Connell as Sir Jimmy Crystal, this crazed cult leader who has his fingers so brainwashed that they believe the torment they cause fellow survivors is actually from a higher calling. I don't think that this movie is ever getting malicious towards religious people. I think it's just more so trying to showcase the dangers of something that can come from religion. There's one constant between every single character here in Bone Temple. Everybody has faith in what they're doing. And sometimes that faith is placed in things that misguide you, or make you end up doing something that is completely against your best interest. This movie argues that the problem is not religion, but it's the fact that people who are religious tend to get comfortable and maybe just stop thinking for themselves. There's especially something in the last 15 minutes of this. It's not even words that are spoken, it is an image that I just think is so unbelievably powerful. Even Jimmy Crystal himself seems to be believing the crazy shit coming out of his mouth. This is all echoed in a poignant conversation between him and Dr. Kelson. Jimmy specifically says that he's convinced the infected are not zombies, so to say, but rather demons that the Dark Lord let loose upon the earth. This movie's almost saying, like, if you pour the Kool-Aid for others, you're likely to drink it too. While Jack O'Connell absolutely steals the show as another whacked out villain from his catalog, Ralph Fiennes may be the heart and soul of the entire film. I don't know if this movie made me cry like the first one, but I was feeling Ian's pain here, that longing for not only a companion, but also to be understood. This film is not just an apocalyptic infection story, it's also a dark ayahuasca trip
that will change you.
The Bone Temple will rip open your third eye with bloody results. You will not leave the theater the same person as when you went in. A few other details I'll throw out there about this film is that it continues this franchise's streak of being so uncompromisingly British with some nasty needle drops and more references to things that as an American I had to look up afterwards. And I know some of you are kind of worried about this. Yes, there is more talk about the tubs. The Teletubbies are referenced multiple times. A really interesting thing to note, though, is that there are loose ends from both the first film and this movie that have yet to be resolved. I'm gonna make a big video this weekend on how I think all of these things are gonna come together in part 3, because there's some images from part 1, and there's something big that happens in the last 30 minutes of this movie that I feel like are somehow going to come together. And I can't talk about that now, but it is interesting to think about in my brain, at least. We'll talk about it sometime this weekend. Danny Boyle is currently gearing up to go into production on this third film, which was recently greenlit, so no worries. Even if this one flops at the box office, they are still going to make that third movie, at least as of right now. Things could change, but hopefully not. We are left on a pretty big cliffhanger. Finally, I have to talk about that big thing that Danny Boyle promised us months ago about what was going to happen at the end of this flick. I really hope this doesn't come off as a spoiler. This has been public knowledge for some time now, but Cillian Murphy has returned as Jim for the final scene of this flick. Not only is it a pretty big setup for part 3, but it also may allude to more characters returning in the next entry. I'm not just saying that too, there is a new element to Jim that would make me think that, and that's all I'm gonna say without spoiling anything. Now, again, if you're someone like how I was describing before, that you just feel like 28 years later was a little too weird for your taste, I am kind of predicting that part 3 here is going to feel a little more like 28 Days Later again. There's a few clues for that in this final sequence, and you'll know it when you hear it. That's just a guess though. Nothing about these two movies have been predictable in any way, shape, or form. I imagine that some of the theories bouncing around my brain right now are probably dead wrong, because this is not the movie I thought we were gonna get. 28 Years Later was not the movie that I thought we were gonna get, but I'm very happy both of them exist. They may not be the movies I wanted, but they are movies I needed, and I didn't know I needed them until I saw them. While I do respect everyone's opinion, I am just a little bummed that I know this movie might not do well because it's even artsier and even fartsier than the previous flick. That just bums me out, because this is, in my opinion, a masterpiece. There was little tiny issues that I don't know if I completely loved with 28 Years Later, some weird pacing things, whatever. It's still a fantastic movie. Bone Temple is Nia DaCosta's best film. I think it's a 10 out of 10. I think it's maybe the best horror film of 2026, and I don't know if anything else is gonna beat it. Like, that's how much I love this flick. Rarely do horror sequels get a 10 out of 10 review from old Jake here. This is a very, very special movie. And my God, this is becoming an impossible franchise to rank. I love all 4 entries. Like, all 4 of these movies are fantastic in completely different ways. I hope I didn't hype it up too much, but are you guys excited for Bone Temple coming out this weekend? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.